There are bad jobs. There are humiliating jobs. And then there's a job where your bedroom has a lock on the outside of the door. Let that sink in. In The Housemaid, Millie Calloway is a woman with no margin for error, an ex-con, broke, sleeping in her car, and desperate enough to say yes when a rich family on Long Island offers her live-in work. At first glance, it looks like salvation. A massive house, steady money, a chance to disappear into somebody else's orderly life. But the moment she sees that attic room, the story tells you something is deeply wrong, because a room like that is not designed for privacy. It's designed for control, and Millie signs that contract anyway, because when life has already pushed her to the edge, sometimes a locked door still looks better than no door at all. The terrifying part is this: she thinks she's entering a house, she's actually stepping into a system, and the system already knows exactly what to do with someone as desperate as her. But the trap is not upstairs. Not yet. First, it needs Millie to trust the wrong person. Now the book starts doing something brilliantly manipulative. It trains you to hate Nina Winchester. She is wealthy, erratic, humiliating, and impossible to predict. One minute she is warm, the next she is vicious. She creates messes, rewrites conversations, lashes out, and leaves Millie walking on psychological eggshells. Meanwhile, the whole neighborhood gossip machine fills in the blanks. Nina has a history. Nina is unstable. Nina was institutionalized. Nina may have tried to hurt herself. Nina may have even tried to hurt her own child. So naturally, the audience does what Millie does. She starts looking at Andrew Winchester as the sane one in the room, the calm one, the kind one, the man trapped in a marriage with a woman who seems to be falling apart. And here is where the novel tightens the noose. Millie is not only frightened by Nina, she is also seduced by what Andrew represents. He is handsome, attentive, controlled, and rich, the exact opposite of the chaos surrounding her. For a woman with a criminal record and nowhere to go, Andrew feels like proof that maybe she can still be chosen, still be desired, still be rescued. That psychological bait matters more than the flirtation itself. Because The Housemaid is not just about danger entering a house. It is about how danger dresses itself up as safety. Even Enzo, the gardener, senses something Millie cannot yet read and tries to warn her away, but his warnings are too vague to beat the story Andrew and Nina are already performing in front of her. Then Nina leaves town with Cecilia. Millie and Andrew spend the evening together. The boundary breaks, and in that moment it feels like the book is becoming something almost familiar. A domestic thriller where the cruel wife loses control and the wounded husband reaches for the younger, more vulnerable woman who finally understands him. If you are watching this story cold, this is the point where you think you know exactly where it's going. You do not. Because the woman you think is the villain has been performing for her life, and the man you think is trapped is the one who built the cage. The affair doesn't start the nightmare. It triggers the real one. This is the sledgehammer moment. Andrew throws Nina out, and for one brief second, the house looks like it belongs to Millie now. Then he locks Millie inside the attic room, and the book rips the whole mask off. The attic was never just a creepy bedroom. It was a torture chamber. Nina's torture chamber. From Nina's perspective, we learn that Andrew is not some exhausted husband managing a difficult wife. He is a sadistic abuser who needs domination disguised as normalcy. Early in their marriage, he staged an apparent murder-suicide scenario, made Nina look like the threat, and got her labeled unstable, effectively turning the world into his alibi. That one lie gave him exactly what all psychopaths want: credibility for himself, doubt around his victim, and total control over the story. And Nina? Nina is not crazy. She is strategic. She has learned that surviving Andrew means acting inside the role he wrote for her until she finds a crack in the script. That is why she hired Millie. Not by accident, not out of kindness, on purpose. Nina discovered Millie's past, specifically that as a teenager, Millie killed a boy who was assaulting her friend, and saw in her something terrifying and useful. A woman who had already crossed the moral line once in defense of someone vulnerable. Nina understood Andrew's pattern. She knew he would get bored with her, move toward Millie, and eventually try to punish Millie the way he had punished her. Millie was not the maid. Millie was the contingency plan, the decoy, the weapon. That twist works because it doesn't just change who is good and who is evil. It changes what every earlier scene meant. Nina's instability becomes camouflage. Andrew's empathy becomes predation. Even the house changes shape. It is no longer a luxury setting with dark secrets. It is an abuse machine built around image, money, and the fact that charming men get believed first. And once you realize that, the attic door becomes the most honest thing in the entire book. It told the truth from the beginning. We just didn't want to hear it. But Nina's plan has one problem. Setting a trap for a monster still means somebody has to stand in the room with him. The climax of the novel is not flashy. It is cruel, methodical, and deeply satisfying in exactly the way McFadden said she wanted. Andrew forces Millie into one of his assignment rituals, expecting obedience, terror, and collapse. Instead, when he comes to release her, Millie attacks. She uses the weapon Nina left hidden for her, turns the fight, and locks Andrew inside the attic. That reversal is poetic justice at its most vicious. The abuser is finally forced to experience the geometry of his own power from the wrong side of the door. And Millie doesn't make it quick. She makes him live inside his own logic. She makes him suffer the punishments. She lets the panic grow. She keeps making the same promise he used on others. Do this, and maybe I'll let you out. Then breaks it. Eventually, Andrew dies in the room that defined him. Not in a blaze of action hero spectacle. In confinement, in thirst, in helplessness. Nina comes back believing Millie is the one trapped upstairs, only to find Andrew dead instead. And this is where the book gets even colder. The police investigator who handles the case has his own history with Andrew's abuse. In the novel, Andrew had previously been engaged to the investigator's daughter, who never truly recovered. So the official version becomes an accident. The unofficial version is that everyone important understands exactly what kind of man Andrew was, and chooses silence now that the monster is gone. That silence is disturbing, but in thriller terms, it is also the story's final act of protection, and if you think that means the story is over, the ending has one more unnerving idea left. What makes The Housemaid linger is that it does not end as a single revenge story. It ends like an awakening. Nina and Cecilia leave to start over. Millie and Enzo are implied to begin helping women escape abusive relationships. And then the novel hands us one last scene. Another job interview, another rich home, another woman with a bruise she is not naming out loud. Nina recommended Millie for a reason. By that point, Millie understands the assignment instantly, which means the last chilling possibility in this book is that the housemaid is no longer just a survivor. She is becoming a pattern breaker, a woman who walks into beautiful homes and recognizes the violence hidden under the wallpaper. That is the psychological verdict of The Housemaid. Are frighteningly easy to fool when cruelty arrives in a beautiful suit and offers them reassurance. Nina looks unstable, so she is dismissed. Andrew looks perfect, so he is trusted. Millie wants a fresh start so badly that she mistakes polished masculinity for safety. And that is why this book hits. It is not merely asking, who is the villain? It is asking how many monsters survive because they mastered the performance of being the victim. If you had walked into the Winchester house with no context, who would you have believed first? Nina or Andrew? Drop that in the comments. And if you want more dark psychological breakdowns where the truth flips the entire story inside out, like the video,